Hello, friends, and welcome to this next podcast. And in this podcast, we discuss personal branding. And in this podcast, I'm going to share some secrets of building a strong personal brand. And why do you need to have this personal brand? Let us understand that branding is very, very essential. We know it in terms of products, we know it for services. The branding is becoming a strong brand is essential to success. The same applies to a person brand. You need to be a strong person brand to succeed in your career, in your business. So whether you are running your own business or whether you are in a job or whether you're a freelancer, you are a brand. Now you have a choice. You have a choice to be a commodity or to be a brand. What do I mean by being a commodity? As an individual also you can be a commodity. If you're a part of the crowd and if you are playing safe, it's the riskiest thing that you can do in your life and in your career or even in your business, because you are just like anybody else. You can be easily replaced by something that is cheaper somewhere. So if you don't want to become that person who's just simply replaced by something that's cheaper, you need to become a strong person brand. So what applies to product brands, what applies to service brands starts applying to each one of us. So how do you build a strong personal brand? I'm going to share a few secrets, a few tips. There's nothing rocket science, but it's very important to know. So let me start with the very first thing. As a strong person brand, the first thing that you need to know is your brand purpose. I'm going to ask you a few questions basically. In this particular, when I share with you these pointers, each of these pointers is actually asking you a question. Do you know your brand purpose? What is the purpose of your existence? It's very essential that you know this, what you come into this world for, what is that unique gift that you bring into this world. You need to understand that very clearly and be able to articulate this what is your brand purpose very simply and in a way that you can understand and other people can understand. The second question you need to ask is, what are your brand values? There are certain values that you as a person, as a character holds in the world. This is your true north. There will be ups and downs in your career. There will be ups and downs in your life, but this is the character that will stay consistent through your career, through your life. So people start expecting that you are going to behave in a particular way. So example, as a brand, if you look at an organization and you know that this is a company and this is the way this organization is going to behave, whether it is an up or down, it will behave ethically. For example, that's the value that the company holds. You can trust that company because you know that that's the character of that organization. Similarly, you as an individual have a character, and that's a character that people start trusting. And the more defined that your true north is, the more stronger you become as a person brand. So that's the second thing. The third thing is you need to be authentic. Now, why it is important to be authentic is because we are always trying to, right from the school days, we were taught to look up and look for an approval. So we are constantly looking for likes. And then in the social media world, it's very simple. That thing has got translated to how many likes do I have? How many people have put comments and how many people are in. So there is this concept called the filters in Instagram. You put in a filter to look like something. And that's not the true you. You start looking at others and you start seeking approvals. An authentic brand is just true to itself, who it is. There is no duplicity. It's not that this is the outside world and this is what I'm inside. You are just what you are. You are very authentic in what you're doing. So when you see strong leaders and strong personal brand, you won't find this duplicity in them. You'll find a consistency. When you look at a Gandhi as a person brand, you'll find that his life is itself a message. The way he lived, the way he actually carried himself in life is the way he carried himself in the public. There was no duplicity in the way the values were held or the brand behaved. And that's what you find in strong leader brands. there is a consistency, there is an authenticity of what they stand for. They have a point of view and they stand by that point of view. And this brings me to the fourth point. A strong person brand is different because it is not trying to be like the crowd. It is not trying to follow the crowd, and you are not following the crowd. You're not one of the many. You are not playing for survival. You're not playing to, just get by. You're willing to take the risk. You're willing to stand out. You're willing to be different because you are different. You bring in a different skill to the world. You bring in a different talent to the world. No two people are the same. Each one is different. What is that uniqueness that you bring to the world? And why don't you stand up and speak up? Because not only do you bring the difference to the world, you actually stand out. You have a point of view and you hold that point of view. You challenge the status quo. A strong person brand challenges the status quo. It stands out. It speaks up. It is different, and that is what you bring to the table. As you sharpen your skills, you start bringing your difference and point of view. You're not just part of the crowd. You are an artist. By artist, I don't mean a painter. It means that you bring in art into anything that you might do. It might just be that you are, a sweeper out in some way. And I met this one person, for example. You have heard the story about this cop who would stand at the signals, and he was directing the traffic at the signals, but he would dance while doing that, and he would make people happy by doing that. And I have met this person in Pune and at one of the signals, and he would really, do it with joy. Otherwise, what is it? It is just taking, everybody. There's so many of the people who you find standing, so many cops standing in the signal, directing the traffic. But you find this cop is doing it out of full joy. And when you see somebody like that, you feel, wow, that is the way he stands out. The day he is not there, he will be missed. And that's why he said, what is the purpose of your existence? If you don't exist, what will change in the world? People will miss this guy because he is really having fun doing what he's doing. He's completely different. Similarly, I had met this one person in Pune again while I was walking in the morning walks. And you have sweepers who sweep the roads in the morning. And this guy, whenever he would see me, he doesn't know me, but he would turn around and say, "Good morning, sir." Now, when he did that, really I felt the joy of the day. Early in the morning, I'm taking my morning walk. This guy does not know me, but he turns around and he always wishes me "Good morning, sir," with complete enthusiasm. This guy I will never forget. This is being different in whatever job you are doing. You can be different. You can bring in that art or that joy to what you do. That's being different. Then you have to make in the next point that I want to share with you is a tip is you make a brand promise. Every brand has a promise that it makes. What is the brand promise that you're making to the world, to your clients, to your colleagues, to your family, to the community? What is that brand promise that you're making as a person? Not only do you make that brand promise, because when you do it, and you need to declare that brand promise, because then you become accountable for that brand promise. You make a brand promise and you declare that brand promise. And the next from this itself flows is that you need to live the brand promise. Not only you talk, but you walk the talk. Good leaders, strong brands walk the talk, not just when things are good, but when the chips are down. That's the time, the test of character of the leader, whether the brand promise is being kept. So whatever the brand promise that you make, if you make a brand promise to somebody that you're going to deliver something, are you consistently delivering what you have promised? What is that brand promise? Whether it is your colleagues, are you delivering? Whether it's your family, it's delivering. Whether it's a community in where you stay, if you're making a brand promise as a person, are you delivering your brand promise to the community? So this is all these, some of the things that I have shared with you. Another interesting aspect I will share with you, as a person brand, you need to be vulnerable. Now, this is an interesting element of being vulnerable, because you always feel that a personal brand is very strong. You need to be strong out there, and people need to really feel, great about you. You're always that strong guy standing out there as a person brand. You don't you're not vulnerable. You don't reveal that side. You might be vulnerable, but you don't reveal that vulnerability to the world. But really, truly, the strong personal brands are vulnerable, and they also reveal that vulnerability. Because that is being authentic, that is being real. You cannot always be winning. The light cannot always be shining on you. You cannot always be on the stage and the center stage yourself all the time. You need to be vulnerable. You can also fall as a brand. But what you know is when you fall, how can you pick yourself up? So you have your weaknesses and you are absolutely authentic about your weaknesses. You're willing to share that with the world that this is what I am. And it's not always the positive which is there. There's also the other side. There's something where I failed, and you need to share this also as a person brand. Otherwise, it is just a fake image, and people will some stage or the other, they will see through this fake image. And very important, I want to leave one more strong tip is be consistent as a person brand. So as we said, all these various points that we have discussed, have a brand promise, have a brand purpose, have the brand difference, be vulnerable, all these elements, and most importantly, finally, is be consistent. It is not that you at one stage you're behaving some way, and then something else happens and you start completely changing. And finally, you need to go out as a brand and tell your story. Because if you don't tell your brand story, who else is going to do it? You then start becoming more and more like a commodity. You need to be out there, and now that the social media does exist, you can actually build your network on the social media, and you need to do out, because your net worth is equal to your network. What is your network, and what is your viewpoint that you're sharing with your network? What is the value that you're adding to your network, and how are you consistently cultivating this network? You need to tell your brand story. Nobody else is going to tell your brand story. So on the digital media, you have the full opportunity to tell your brand story. So I, Sanjay Mudnaney, am a marketing strategist and a brand storyteller. I coach my clients who are in business, who are leaders, who are founders, to build their personal brand on the digital platforms, in the digital world. And if you are interested in having a conversation with me on building your personal brand, please watch out for my website, which is there in the end slide and the descriptor below. You can get in touch with me. I would love to help you to build your personal brand. Leaving you with this one message, which is very important. Don't be a commodity. Don't be a commodity. Be a brand that stands out. Don't play safe, because playing safe is the biggest risk that you can take in your life and in your career. It can really hit you very badly, and we're seeing that. We are seeing that when the downs come, when the industries go down, it is the commodities that get damaged. It's those people who are replaceable that they start losing their jobs first. But if you are a strong brand, and if you have put an effort, and if you are willing to take that risk, if you're willing to stand out, if you're willing to step up, if you're willing to rock the boat, you will always, wherever you are, you will find an opportunity. So strong brands, strong person brands means business, means a great career. Thank you for being there for this session. If you have liked what I have shared with you, do subscribe to my channel. And if you think this is going to make a difference to somebody else who needs it, please share this out with your friends. Until the next video, thank you once again. See you the next time around.